started, caught and castrated, just plain murdered. For my sister, my mother, my wife, daughter, lover. How many times I gotta come back to get it right? Used to be strapped by the window, gun by the bed at night. I was a rogue black legion, deacon of defense, zebra killer, our fate sealed with a kiss.
Do you feel as though your music represents the emotional climate of the African in America today?
What I feel is that it does a couple of things. What it does is it speaks to the spirit, I believe, more so than to the actual emotions of most Africans walking around. But it speaks to the spirit of our struggle. If we was able to get into a time machine and go back in time and look at.
Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad. Brother Ashe SJ will be off tonight, and Brother Blacksmith will be joining us very shortly. We have a powerful packed program for you tonight. A lot to discuss. A lot has been going on, but before we get into all of that, gotta see how everybody's doing. What's up, Brother Tad? How you feeling?
Chilling, I'm chilling, sis. Feeling good, feeling blessed. You know, life is good. Life is real good right now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear. Too much going on for some bad news and shenanigans.
Yeah.
You got more shootings, twerking senators, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So, real quick shout out to DTR Books for inviting us last week to be a part of their podcast. Appreciate that. Always good to deal with the brother.
Brother Quasi. Definitely,
yes,
definitely.
Always doing work for the people. That's what I'm talking about. Real ones. Shout out to Sister Joyce, Brother Monty. How y'all feeling on the check-in? I think we might have to do some shopping, Sister Joyce. With all this craziness going on, I don't know. Me, you, and Brother Monty, we might have to go on a trip. So
all right,
keep that to ourselves.
Peace, Sister Joyce.
Sister Farnessa, good to see you on the check-in as always. Hope everything is well with you and your peeps on your side of the planet. Everybody staying healthy. Sister Amanette, too, I see you doing your thing. Yes, indeed. Peace and black power to you as well. Hope everything is going good with you over there in the Midwest where you reside. Shantice on the check-in. What's up, cuz family? How you feeling? Hope you doing well. I like what you're doing. Listen, y'all. Speaking of cousin Shantice, if you want some custom t-shirts and things made, she got you. So reach out to Thorough Black Talk and we'll give you the hookup. See how we doing? Customize. You know what I'm saying? Again,
I'm reaching out to get my customized t-shirt too.
You heard that, Shotty? Brother Tad coming to get his shirt.
Yeah, Shantice, I want the family discount too. Black folks, we always want the hookup.
I can't. I ain't getting involved. If you
got to broker the deal, sis. You got to broker the deal, Sister Keisha.
She got you. She said she hear you. She got you. Don't worry.
That's what we say when we ignoring people. Yeah, I hear you. I can get the hookup. Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, heavens. I can't with him. You see what I'm talking about? I can't. So, family, we got a lot to discuss with you all today. First, I wanted to discuss this video that has circled around social media. Twitter went on fire. Instagram is still on fire, of an interview that recording artist Macy Gray did with British commentator, TV personality Piers Morgan on his show. Now, a lot of people in the Twitter sphere especially have been going off, saying she shouldn't have said what she said. Now, I agree with just one portion of what she said. Everything else is a little crazy. I don't do crazy. We don't do that over here. We don't do that over here. But I'm going to play the clip for y'all. Y'all listen. We'll come back and discuss it. Hold on, family. Here we go.
Like, we can have a conversation about how you feel about women, And there would be so many things that went into that, you know?
I mean, we're in an era now, basically, where you can't, most public figures are too terrified to even say what they think a woman is.
I know.
I mean, if I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
Let's say a human being with boobs. You have to start there.
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary's quite straightforward. It's just
And
a
a
human,
vagina.
adult, female,
Yeah.
right?
No, a lot of people. Yeah, see, that's getting confusing. The whole he, she, they. That's gonna.
And I'm not sure why, really. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sport. Because I support all trans rights to fairness and equality.
Me too.
But not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies.
Me too.
Transitioning and then thrashing the women at their sport.
I totally agree. And I will say this, and everybody's gonna hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her, and just because you got a surgery.
Because people do feel that there's biological sex and then there's gender identity. That you can identify as whatever you like
You can
in
call
terms
yourself
of a
whatever you
gender,
want.
right? That's the
Totally.
freedom we live in.
Absolutely.
But actually, you can't change the mechanics of biological sex. They are what they are.
Well, just women go through just a completely unique experience, and surgery or finding yourself doesn't change that. You know, being a little girl is a whole epic book, you know, and you can't have that just because you want to be a woman.
I mean, you know that when people like J.K. Rowling have said this, they get attacked, they get abused.
Yeah.
The cancel culture mob comes from me. She gets called transphobic and so on. You might get the same for saying it.
But it's the truth. I'm not, and I don't think you should be called transphobic just because you don't agree with, I just, there's a lot of, judgment and throwing, stones at people for just saying what it is. You know what I mean?
You have hung out with some very interesting people.
So, she was right. She was right. Just because you feel a certain way doesn't make it so. It doesn't make it so. And then I like when Pierce asked her, well, how do you know? God darn it, she's a natural woman. She said, I know for a fact. You understand what I'm saying? I know for a fact. So I don't understand what the hoopla is all about. Where is the lie, Brother Tad?
In their questioning, in Piers Morgan's questioning, and people trying to pass off men as women. And family, part of my language, but if y'all ever saw Juice, Orange Juice Jones said the best line in the whole movie. Just because you pour syrup on shit don't make it pancakes. And that's what's happening. They pouring syrup all on it trying to tell us it's pancakes. Just because a man wear lipstick and heels don't make him a woman. And I mean, the craziest part of it all, sis, is they're really trying to push this off. Now, Macy Gray was very respectful to that community. She's like, I'll call you whatever I'll call you she, I respect blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, damn, even when you give these people the utmost respect, they still not happy. But that's what happens when you cater to crazy people. Because now you even got the comedian, transgender, cross-dresser. I don't know when I was a kid, we used to call them transvestites. I don't know what happened to that. You just call transvestite.
I'm still using that one.
Yeah, right. But even Flame Monroe agreed with Macy Gray. Flame Monroe said on the Breakfast Club before, he said, I know I'm not a woman. He said, and I consider myself trans, but I know that I'm not a woman for a fact. And he also said that he learned how to be a woman by watching his aunts and his grandmother and them. He knows he's not a woman. Acknowledging that it's a social construct to even what we think a woman is. Because if you compare a modern woman now to the woman of our mother's generation and our grandmother's generation, a lot of sisters today ain't really women. They females. Like a lot of brothers ain't men. They just grown boys. So we got to re-identify and define what men and women are in this modern day society because people are so confused. Archie Bunker had it right. When girls were girls and men were men. But it's too early for that.
but you're right. You're right. It is no. It's and I like what she said. You know, it's wrong to label someone a phobia, homophobic, or whatever. I'm not scared of no damn body.
Word.
I have never in my life, and I've come across some tough ones. I ain't never been. Wait, where's Shotty at? Shotty will tell you I was never a runner. I've never been scared of nobody. You understand what I'm saying? Where you come up with that? And see, and this is the thing. Now that they have gained such a political footing in both parties, they can now, or what they have been doing, at least for the last 15 years, is dictating policy and language within the law. And that's why lobbying or lobbyists are very important. Very, very important. But again, I agree with her. Hands off Macy Gray as far as that is concerned. Now she said some other things that was crazy off the wall, like about racism and all that.
Yeah.
Like, come on, girl. Come on, girl. See, you're losing credibility here with the shenanigans. You're losing credibility here. This ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? So
yeah, especially with the flag too.
Yeah. Tell them what she said about the flag, Brother Tag.
She said that they should just change the white stripes to multicolored stars to represent to represent the diversity of this country. I have tan stars and brown stars and black stars, just all this foolishness. And I don't think she really understands what white supremacy is, or even what that flag represents, because they was talking about that flag and the British flag. And I mean, not to go deep off a tangent real quick, but that red, white, and blue was actually stolen from ancient Kemet, because when Kemet was divided, you had Upper and Lower Kemet. It was red. One kingdom was red, the other one was white, and the blue Nile connected it, because remember, the Nile was the superhighway back then. So a lot of colors were red, white, and blue back then. Even when you look at, the ancient hieroglyphics, or the metal, the ancient writings, you'll see those colors in there. And as we know, a lot of what they took to build this society was actually stolen from ancient Kemet. You could read a lot of Professor Anthony Browder's books to get more information, or even join him on his field trip. But then, even when you go there, we know that Benjamin Banneker designed Washington, D.C. So it's so multi-layered on how they try to bury us alive that they will not acknowledge us for anything. And even if they did, we should be tired of token symbolism that don't equate to justice, economics, because, if you follow any of the economic forums, they always talk about the wealth gap between blacks and everybody else, talk about Asians pulling way ahead of everybody. The gap is just expanding. And here we are still talking about we want flags and BLM in the middle of the street. Like that really means something. We need to stop.
It's a waste of time and it's shenanigans, and it's a farce. It gets you nowhere
at all.
Like all of this hoopla now about we're gonna move right along, family. All of this hoopla now about the arrest, or if you will, would be arrest of Carolyn Dunham Bryant, who was the woman who accused Emmett Till of whistling at her, making advances toward her, and so on and so forth. Now, it's been revealed she's been living in Raleigh, North Carolina, for I don't know how many years, and apparently some people have been pulling up to the address. Now, I've read that there was an arrest warrant issued for her back then, but it was never served. And now, representatives of the family have gotten access to this arrest warrant. I hope you all can see that. Let me make it a little bigger.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So this is the arrest warrant that was issued for her in 1955, August 29th to be exact. But it was never served for her or her husband and J.W. Williams. Never. This warrant is an indictment of the participants. As you see, big word in the middle. Let me see, expand it.
Yes.
Kidnapping.
Kidnapping.
Huh? Kidnapping. So, since this warrant was never served, I would hope that the legal representation from the family not only has this warrant reenacted to have her served, brought her in jail, and whoever the officer or police there is that did not serve this warrant, if they still alive, get them too.
That's right.
Because they broke the law. They was aiding and abetting a criminal. Because that's clearly what it say here, kidnapping.
Kidnapping.
So I don't want y'all to say, Sister Keisha and Brother Tad was coming up with some foolishness. No, it ain't. This is court document. Okay? Everybody else can get it just like I got it online. So this is the exact warrant. Now, my problem with today is everyone knows pretty much the story of what happened. Now that it has been revealed where she lives, how come this lady is safe? How come this lady is safe? All of this talk, and this is why other groups don't respect us, because we give too much lip service and not enough action. Lip service don't win the battle at all. There's a lot of people, and Brother Tad and myself could attest. You grew up with a lot of people who was running their lips a lot, but as soon as you popped them in it, and it was over. You know what I'm saying? So this is a black eye to us. This is a black eye to us. So for all of you who live in Raleigh, North Carolina, pull up. I didn't say you gotta, bust her in the head, not like that, but don't make her life comfortable.
That's right.
So much so that the police gotta take her in custody. Make it happen. This was disturbing when I found it. It just pissed me off. But, I hope that an arrest is made, that this woman is put behind bars where she belongs, and any co-conspirators who was aiding and abetting her and her husband after the gruesome murder of young 14-year-old Emmett Till, 1955. Something has to be done. But, we got to move right on, family. We got a lot to discuss because we got some guests coming in here in a little while. We got two guests for you tonight. We have our brother Knowledge Born Allah, who will be joining us to discuss a project that he is currently working on. And then we have our brother Akil Parker. Brother Akil Parker is a professor of mathematics. He taught finance, and we're going to get into some real stuff with him, in particular as it relates to our children and learning the value of mathematics, the value of money, how it works, how it maneuvers through the world. One of the things that we do not have consistently that is in our community is financial literacy. So I'm glad to have Brother Akil come in here. Some of your children may be suffering in mathematics. He's going to tell you how you can help your children. He also has a YouTube channel teaching different formulas of mathematics. So when your kids go back to school in the fall, they shouldn't be dumb in math after tonight. You're going to get some free help tonight. What she said? Yeah, she said the new Black Panther Party went looking for her yesterday, and they went to serve several addresses, including some nursing homes, and she wasn't to be found. Okay, good. I hope they stay on that. Stay on that. Don't be giving a whole lot of lip service. Stay on it. Sister Aminatu said she was in hiding. She should be in hiding. She should not feel safe walking the streets. She shouldn't have lived this long outside of the penitentiary. She should have been behind bars. That arrest warrant that we just pulled up was drafted August 29th, 1955. We in 2022. She should have been behind bars. So I hope they're vigilant and serious about this, because you can't let criminals run amok. Anyway, the FBI should want her behind bars based on this wave of white terrorism that has permeated the fabric of this country, and it's getting heavier. Just this past weekend, the 4th of July, you had another mass shooting in the state of Illinois, Highland Park to be exact. Let's clear up some things. See, that's why, Thorough Black Talk, Brother Taz, Sister Keisha Ashe, we got family on the other side that can give us the real. You understand? So we was doing some talking behind the scenes. Highland Park is a suburb of Illinois. It's outside of Chicago. However,
30 miles from Chicago?
Yes. She said about a half an hour, she said, from Chicago. That's what Sister Tasha was telling us the other day. But Highland Park is very segregated. If you don't know anything about, listen, if you don't know anything about Chicago, like New York, is very segregated. You got the west side, you got the south side, and you got the north side, right? When you hear south side Chicago, you know black folks live over there. North side is where the white folks live. Now, Highland Park, this dude, Robert Crimo III, Italian descent. I like that. When immigrants, when criminals do things, I want their whole ethnic background up. I don't want to see a white male. Nah, I want to know ethnic background. Because if you know anything about Highland Park, Brother Tad, it is extremely racist. Has been, always have been, that I know of. This dude, 18 years of age, I believe, opened fire on a bunch of parade attendees. They were sitting there and he shot from a rooftop, I believe it was reported, and killed 7 people, wounded dozens of others. Now, let's get into the background of this clown first. Hold on, family. Here we go. We got documentation over here. We don't play no game. Now, this Bobby Crimo, born September 20th, 2000, known professionally as Awake the Rapper. I ain't never heard of this fool. And when I saw the video that they have now taken down, right? Because I saved it so I can play it for you all, but they have stripped it. Is an American rapper, singer, songwriter, actor, director from Chicago, Illinois. Now, see, when they put these bios out, these people know exactly what the hell they're doing. They trying to thwart the attention away from this supposed white, clean-cut Italian family. So they want to muddy, oh, he's a rapper. Oh, he from Chicago. Not the case. Not the case. This is how they criminalize black music, black musicians who are in the field of hip hop, all with this one sentence. Let's go on. The track has amassed millions of plays so far across the online streaming platforms. Now, this dude was so racist in his commentary that a lot of people that he went to school with had to block him because it was so racist. This dude was a member, now that's what he said. I'm gonna bring up his Twitter feed and all that. But he was saying he was a member of Antifa and all of that. Now, here on Double Black Talk, we've been telling y'all about these white aggressionist groups. There is no lone gunman here. If you see my lecture on white aggressionist groups, you already know that these people are united. There is no lone wolf. A lot of his social media has been stripped. The only thing that they seem to have left is various photos. Now, this dude is, let me just read this. This 6-foot hip hop phenom, Awake the Rapper, was born Robert Crimo III on September 20th, 2000 in Chicago. He is the middle child of 3 of Italian descent. Bobby began uploading his music to the internet when he was 11. The world first started turning their heads with release of his 2016 track by the Pawn featuring Atlas. Never heard of him either. Directly following the Awake release, his fan favorite mixtape Messages on December 23rd, 2017. The Lo-Fi Sad Boy then went on to release a second mixtape entitled Observer. Now, this video that I saw was very disturbing. The music video had him in a classroom, or what seemed to be a classroom, isolated. He goes on killing sprees and all this whole kind of stuff. Mind you, this garnered the attention of people who were his educators. And when they notified officials, it was said that, this dude had a myriad of problems, and they just let it slide. They just let the goddamn thing slide. You can't even fart in the wind without the police on your back. Not only are they going to be on your back, they're going to watch your homies back. They're going to watch your parents back. They come up to your school. They want to know where you live. You on the radar. But when it comes to these white kids, everything is okay. Oh, his girlfriend broke up with him. Already mass media is giving him excuses. I don't got time for no goddamn excuses. This is a racist bastard and a murderer. Now, he murdered his own. Now, remember, if you saw my lecture on white aggressionist groups, I told you groups like Antifa, Patriot Front, Rise Above Movement, all of these groups, listen, they are vetting each other. And they coming for those who aren't on code. The same way that other dude last week did. They just caught another one on the airplane yesterday. How are these lone wolves? There has been a mass shooting or attempted mass shooting almost every day of this year so far. How are they lone wolves? Why do they keep spewing that narrative? I don't know. But we'll get into it. I see we got our brother Knowledge Born on the check-in. We got to get Knowledge in here. What's up, Knowledge Born? How you feeling, brother? What's good with you? What's good with you?
Black Power. Is that my Uncle Tad right there?
Is that the illest brother from New Jerusalem?
Yes, you bout it, boo. Okay.
Is you bout it. Knowledge Born. Yes, sir.
Reading is fundamental, I tell you.
Yes, sir.
It's fundamental. Sister Keisha, I
What's
like
up,
you in real
brother?
life. Okay.
What
Shout out to Brooklyn.
That's right. You on the Brooklyn Bridge right now. Yerugu. Okay.
Rugu Yerugan. That's
Look,
all they doing is
I'm gonna just show y'all this because I love y'all, okay? You know this made my day, right?
All right, that's from the Queen Mother herself.
Right. Live in the flesh. You know, it's a beautiful thing after 25 years of listening and studying and sitting at her feet indirectly to, feel that energy in person, present. You see what I'm saying? That presence is overpowering. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing to be able to see our African warrior scholars and to be in concert with them and have them have an understanding of who you are. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying that in the same space of me being here on Thorough Black Talk. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm in the space of my African contemporaries. You see what I'm saying? and to be accepted and to be welcome here in a spot where everybody ain't welcome. You understand what I'm saying? And to be here time and time again with y'all is remarkable. So I definitely wanted to, come here and sharing this experience. Y'all are very vital to my story as it regards to Being Knowledge Radio from early on and then even further. So, I can't tell the story without, including y'all in the story. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah.
That's what's up, brother. So before we get into what you got going on, and you saw when you came in, we was talking about this Highland Park shooting with this crazy deranged Yarugu running amok. What are your thoughts on this? And how mainstream media is trying to shield him at the same time criminalizing black music and black youth in Chicago.
Right. And if you look at the entire RICO situation, connecting all of the dots, I think they've been running with that lone gunman narrative since 1862. John Wilkes Booth and everybody else. And then in that space, dead men don't tell tales. They went so far with that as to hang the horses from the gallows. That was one of the first times a white woman was ever hanged publicly. The innkeeper that gave the people the room, she gave a room. They hung her in the gallows. I'm like, you went all the way down to the horse? You understand what I'm saying? So that's how far you would go. If you looked at and remember like the Boston Marathon, different things like that, because they don't want you to ever put these things together. That's why Thorough Black Talk is so important, because that stream of consciousness, they do the lone gunman, lone this, lone that, lone this, lone that, and they paint that narrative, but that narrative is old as this country. You see what I'm saying? So they'll show you over here, and they know we got a goldfish memory, so we'll be on something else tomorrow. They'll be back to McDonald's or whatever the case may be. You see what I'm saying? So that stream of consciousness does not translate well. So when you have a way station like this, to be able to critically analyze this, you see these operations, and y'all know I deal with military psychology and military operations. You see what I'm saying? You look at this instance, and you look at the other instance in Akron. You don't see the similarities. We lived through Sean Bell. We lived through Tamir Rice. We lived through Austin Sterling a couple of days ago. Like, you have to repeat things to go on in a particular thread for the shock and awe value, and also to perpetuate what's going on in the future. So a lot of fear mongering, from one space to another, it's a perpetual cycle of programming the human condition. You see what I'm saying? So on top of guns being on the table for, to be taken away from private citizens, things like that, the whole instance of the life control, all of the other, all of these instances, they aren't isolated. So the only lone gunman that's in this case is what you continue to accept in your mind, you understand, in regards to these things, and you can't put them together. There's no coincidence that this thing happened, in Buffalo, then this thing happened in Texas. And you see what I'm saying? They're like, and then when I was listening, I was like, man, Sister Keisha on point. Yeah, an attempted mass shooting or an actual shooting every day of this year already. You see what I'm saying? In a climate that's, reminiscent of the Obama administration. This is the same climate. It's a repeat of the same climate. So what's on there? Climate control, gun control, a recession. Like, what are all these? Look at these factors that's just on repeat. That's on a loop. So how long are they going to do that? I mean, that started World War I. That started World War II. You see what I'm saying? So how long are we going to continue to look at these things and not learn the lessons in them and how we need to move in regards to that? So if we looked at the issue where we need gun reform, like, no, we need private security reform. We need people that come out of the community that's properly trained in conflict resolution and perimeter defense to be patrolling our neighborhoods. And we have to own the neighborhoods that we operating in order for that to even matter, because you could have your private security firm over there, but if it ain't your area locale, you don't own the businesses, you don't own the homes or anything like that, you're not in control of that community. You're not even there, actually. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's just, very interesting, the intricacies that go into it, where we look at things in regards to an isolated incident, or this happened over here, or this happened over there. We really have to begin to put these things together and move in a certain kind of way that allows us that space, to be able to implement some of these things that we speak about.
That's what's up. I see we got our brother Blacksmith. How you doing, Black? What's good with you?
Peace, y'all. Peace.
I like that shirt. Poverty sucks, for real. Anybody who thinks otherwise, if I see you on the street, I'm gonna kick you down the steps.
She started going in, huh? Peace, y'all. Peace to all. I'm listening. Y'all go ahead. Keep it going, brother.
So that's what I mean, brother Knowledge Born, that I've been saying that for quite some time, that we need our own security firms in our neighborhoods. And I often ask, that former law enforcement, military, and the like head up such things, because not only do you have the expertise, but you also have the intelligence of the enemy. This is what these groups, your Rise Above, your Patriot Fronts, your Antifas, this is the philosophy that they live by. Their law enforcement and military come back and train their own. I've had videos of such things of happening. But it seems to me that oftentimes people who look like us don't even fathom such things. Why do you think that is?
Was that question for me?
Yeah. You the military genius here. I'm coming to the source.
the thing that goes very awry in the situation is Black people have fought in this country since this country's inception as a country and before time. Now, in regards to the onus, there are instances and people, brothers and sisters, we can count the insurrections in the hundreds. We're not taught the insurrections. You think you have to go somewhere in order to get something, and in order for you to get it, you have to do something strange for a piece of change. Do you understand? So when you're in those environments, this is a total control environment. You are stripped of your sense of self and sense of identity. If we went somewhere prior to a certain time frame in America, I would say around the 60s. If you went somewhere, we sent you somewhere. So that means if we went from 1960 to 1760, you didn't go anywhere unless we sent you somewhere. Down to the plantation. If you was in the house, we sent you in the house. And that's how it went, because again, you could be able to gather intel and give misinformation at the same time. So if you look at a total control environment like the military is dysfunctionally functional, highly, because they rule by subordination and they root out and destroy insubordination. So if y'all look at that Zimbardo experiment that they did with the prisoners and the correction officers, that's right. What happens in the military. That's the only way a military force can function. If I'm not treated like a citizen in this place that I was born in, what would I have to go through psychologically, psychospiritually, in order for me to be lockstep with somebody who hung my father's father from a tree? What would I have to do in that environment? What would I have to be subjected to? So if I didn't get sent there for a particular reason, if I'm not Geronimo Pratt or one of these other brothers and sisters that went into the military and came back with that, I'm going to get sucked up into that Kool-Aid. So all I have to do is be a victim of the circumstances where I just wanted to get out of home. See, I was fortunate enough to be in an environment where I could talk to people. I could pull from their minds. So I was sitting down with them. I was like, yo, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Who had college money? I separated everybody. It was about 100 people that was there with me in Fort Benning, Georgia. I was like, who here for college money? Who parents ain't have it? Over here. Boom. So you looking at who's over there. So I'm like, okay, whose parents had the money to pay for college? Over here. Whose parents was in the military or they had military folks in their family? Over here. So separating them and looking in these particular groups. Who got money? Who come from money? Who was bored at home? You start looking at the people who was bored at home and the people who came from money and they in the same spot. And whose parents ain't have it or they ain't have no parents or a parent. Who came from Job Corps? Who came from military school? Who came from boot camp? You understand what I'm saying? Before this, you see what I'm saying? Who got a record? You start looking at all of these instances, and then you see the people that's in the same group still in the same group. So they were targeted, not recruited. They were targeted.
It's a powerful statement.
That's when you look at that and you take all of them into account, and you're in a total control environment, you want to be subservient, not subordinate. You want to be subservient. So most of the brothers and sisters who go under that type of military occupation in total control environment, they begin to drink the Kool-Aid. You see what I'm saying? So it's no different than a cat going to prison and get institutionalized. You're institutionalized. You start to like the place that you're involved in, knowing that it's something detrimental to you and detrimental to your family. You don't even know what state of being that you're actually operating in. It's the same in law enforcement. You can't be black and be blue at the same time. You better be blue. So again, if we're not sending people there, they're going to go there in that environment. And in order for them to flourish or survive in that environment, they have to be this kind of way. You remember Run DMC said, walk this way, talk this way. That's exactly what you find yourself doing in that uniform, because you have to be uniform with everybody else. So indiscriminate to how they truly feel about you, how much they hate you, you're in that uniform. So you have to be uniform with everybody else. So you're not really there in an environment that you own or operate or control. You're really in bondage. You're really in servitude over there. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't send, your children and equip them with a particular mind frame to be able to do what you need to do, you're not going to survive, because they're trained to look for you. I had mad issues for 17 years. You understand what I'm saying? The only thing I was good for was war. I'll tell you that. In the war environment, they was like, oh, yeah, let's leave that man alone. He know what he's doing. You understand? And if you was with me and you was on some other stuff, I don't know what to tell you. You see what I'm saying? So that type of instance in regards to the mind, to the body, and the spirit, it has to be devoted and rooted properly. We have to have a solid foundation where we say we want brothers and sisters to go under some training, because it's mental torture, it's physical torture, it's emotional torture, and it's spiritual torture. They're all necessary for leadership. You see what I'm saying? If you can't be subjected to some kind of torture, what the hell you look like leading me somewhere? You understand? So all you got to do is stub your toe, you out of here. You see what I'm saying? So we don't have any, too many people that's in that position that goes under that scrutiny. And when we look at our history and then we look currently, there's nobody in no leadership position outside of this country that don't operate from that space. You see what I'm saying? So whether you look into Africa, you look into Central America, don't even dream of thinking about a place where the military is in charge of the government, and don't think that these instances aren't happening. It's a requirement. We used to have rites of passage. You see what I'm saying? So re-implementing rites of passage, re-implementing these life skills. You see what I'm saying? And all of these instances, you would know what it is So many of them have those experiences, those significant emotional events, and they go get institutionalized and they forget who the hell they are. You see what I'm saying? Until they come back from there, if they come back. So a lot of people, them instances where they no longer have an onus to the people, because the longer you're there, the further and further away you can become from your people and your people's plight, because you subjected to this. Ain't no different than going to college. Ain't no different than being an entertainer. All of that shit, they pull your ass away from your people, and then use their puppet strings. Like we was out there at the first Million Youth March, and how many black soldiers did we see ready to kill the shit out of us? You understand what I'm saying? If they was ordered to, because they didn't even see us no more. You see what I'm saying? So this is how you know you got somebody trained for that kind of situation. Where you look, you don't see human beings anymore, especially black human beings. You could go do it, because you could do it in Iraq, you could do it in Afghanistan, you could do it in Korea, you could do it in Russia. You do it wherever they tell you to go, and you do whatever they tell you to do. You see what I'm saying? So that's a lot of the variances that come along with that.
Gotcha.
Can I ask a question real quick? What is the military significance behind CERN and the blowing up of the Georgia Guidestones a few days ago?
That ain't a question for me right there.
Like, leave me out of it.
Somebody else got some questions.
Okay.
For that.
Look, I was gonna say that question for Blacksmith myself.
Oh man,
about the Georgia guys.
And now it's back to you. You see, this is what happens. I'll tell you now, you see, this is what happens when the Bronx try to swerve. It come right back to him. You understand what I'm saying? It come right back to him. But Brother Black, I love messing with him. That's my brother from another mother. We got a fella Bronxite coming on with you later. So, we're going to even up the score. But don't your hair swell now.
Right. So you're not by yourself.
You see my hat today, though, right? Tad representing me. I'm representing y'all.
That's right.
The important thing about me is I don't put out too many theories. You see what I'm saying? You start getting into theories and stuff like that, and you can't substantiate some of the things that you're saying. But I'll leave stuff like that be.
But real quick, Knowledge Born, real quick, because you hit on so many dope points. Like even with not seeing humans anymore. That reminds me of an episode I saw on Black Mirror. I don't know if y'all ever watched Black Mirror before, but there was the military people spoke right to your point, where they were calling people roaches because they were implanted and brainwashed not to see the people for who they were. So they weren't even seeing people. They really thought they saw something different. So even when he went home, he went back to the hood. But in his subconscious, he knew that it was the hood because his two eyes was fooling him. Thought he was somewhere safe, just like he thought the people were monsters. That's one point to speak to what you were talking about. Another one, you mentioned they're turning it back under the Obama administration. I don't think people really understand how powerful that statement is, because as sure as we talk about the Trayvon Martins, the Mike Browns, our brother Eric Garner, and the multitudes of black men that were murdered, that spawned life to Black Lives Matter, we got to remember that was under the Obama administration. And I've even seen people come in and try to say all that happened, because of Trump, all that happened. I'm like, yo, our people, not our people. Let me not say just black folks, because it's all folks who was drinking the Kool-Aid and really regurgitating that garbage. So that brings me to the what's the dude running for Congress? Jerome, what's his name, Sister Keisha, in Arizona?
Davis.
Jerome Davis, the Republican congressman, who is an advocate and a proponent for the Second Amendment. I don't know if y'all saw his campaign ads. Did you see it? Did you see it, Brother Blacksmith? Did you see it?
No, I didn't. Nah.
You saw it, right, Brother Knowledge Born?
I'll send it to you later, Black.
Okay.
He turned the political campaign upside down on its head, because in his commercial, he's talking about why we need AR-15s and use images of the Klansmen. And he said, I need every bullet in my gun, all 30 of them. I'm like, this is the kind of leadership we need. This is the kind of politicians we need. One that's going to speak truth to power. Because sure enough, we know who's under them Klansmen robes. And I think Brother Knowledge Born just laid it out. People who are skilled in military, people who are in law enforcement. We seen that in the CDC report years ago under the Obama administration that said white supremacist organizations have infiltrated law enforcement to a number that's astronomical. That's almost hard to believe. And I mean, it's not hard for me to believe because I read Tyrone Power's book, Eyes to My Soul, The Rise and Decline of a Black FBI Agent. And he talked about all the racism that existed within the FBI. And he reported them time and time again, and nothing was done, to the point that he just quit law enforcement altogether and decided to teach law. But when he came into law enforcement, one of his first assignments, he came in as a state trooper in Maryland. One of his first assignments as a black man was to guard the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
Was to protect them. Now here's a man who was educated and he had knowledge of self. Because he read. His brother was street dudes. And that's a FBI agent giving firsthand testimony. And let's not talk about the 100 blacks in law enforcement who care, who had to organize just to keep our community safe. So shout out to 100 blacks in law enforcement who care. Because they understand, they are dealing with these people. Like Brother Knowledge Born said, once you put on that uniform, they expect your behavior and movement to be lock and step with everybody else in that uniform, regardless of what you know to be true as a black man and how they feel as white people about black people. And I think what's going on right now, to tie it all together, our people are being totally dumbed down and nobody see the value in intelligence anymore or even thinking for themselves. People think being smart is played out and you just got to go whatever the new trend is. And peace be upon Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, that's something that she talked about. She said, what are we doing today? Oh, we having sex with animals? Oh, give me some of that. She said, oh, we having sex with kids? Give me some of that. She said, monkey see, monkey do, until one day the monkey slit his throat. And that's what's going on. We are committing suicide amongst ourselves. And our folks don't see it. I'm going to step off our soapboxes. I see Sister Keisha got the video queued for those who have not seen it. So, Sister Keisha, when you're ready.
Here we go. Here we go.
Democrats like to say that no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense, that no one could possibly need all 30 rounds. But when this rifle is the only thing standing between your family and a dozen angry Democrats in Klan hoods, you just might need that semi-automatic and all 30 rounds.
Hey, y'all, let's not forget about that book. I don't remember his name, but the name of the book, and Alton used to always talk about that book, is Niggas with Guns. So,
oh, that's right.
Yeah, so this ain't
Robert F. Williams.
Yeah, Robert Williams. There you go.
Negroes with Guns.
That's
Definitely
right.
got to have that in the library.
So now I want to move to Arizona just so I can vote for him as congressman. Because I mean, what we really see, and I mean, and that's why I always quote books, you know, because I always give people my source of information. You know, you got to go back and read Dale Jones' Black Holocaust, or it was either Black Holocaust or Black Holocaust 2000. But he talked about them getting rid of the Constitution. And slowly but surely, day by day, we see them shredding it. Even to the point of social media being the new form of communications to where we don't have freedom of speech, because anything you say on here can now get you arrested. To the point Sister Keisha just said, you know, they had the video up earlier. Now they're going to remove it. You know, they're trying to censor information and things that are not true. They're trying to pass it off as truth. And anything you could prove, they're going to call fake news or have they new agency fact checkers come and try to debunk your truth. But as we understand, they dumbed the people down long enough to know that they could have us suffer from the Mandela effect.
Hey, Tad, don't forget about a few weeks ago, maybe a month and a half ago, Biden was trying to do this Ministry of Truth, just like 1984 a few months ago.
That's right.
So,
that's
you know,
right.
And they still doing it, but they probably changing the name and remixing it a little bit, so not to make it seem the same way. Go ahead, you get it back, brother.
Of course. But I mean, this is something we talk about, we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about fatherhood and black fatherhood, and we was talking about them getting rid of the brothers out of the community. Because what year was this what's his name? Miko? What's his name, Sister Keisha? The shooter.
Robert Crimo.
Robert Crimo. What year was he born?
2000.
2000. See, these millennials, they knew who they were programming and preparing. They knew what they were doing. They were removing manhood from all the communities. And not just black communities, white communities too, but I can only speak for our communities because I've been black all my life from a black family. So my experience is always going to be black. I'm always going to see things through a black man's lens. So I'm not even going to act like I really identify with other people, but I recognize the universal truth, the difference between male, female, right, wrong, up and down. But now they're trying to tell us down is up, right is wrong, wrong is right. Boys are girls and girls are boys. In fact, the other day was my daughter's birthday, and I'm going to step off with this. And we spoke, and I asked her, how was my granddaughter Zuri? And she told me she had to go to Zuri school and let the teachers have it because my granddaughter came home and said, Mommy, I'm changing my pronoun to they and he. My granddaughter's 7 years old. My daughter said, what? Where you get that from? She's like, no, because I like Sonic, and Sonic is for boys. So, first of all, she's 7 years old. I ain't learned what a pronoun was about 4th, 5th, 6th grade, something like that. I was kind of slow. Then I got fast. But my point is, they're trying to indoctrinate our babies with this foolish language. And this is why we do what we do, and people don't see the necessity. People just think we rabble-rousing because we're fighting against a global machine that control all forms of communication. Even when we was doing blog talks, Sister Keisha, remember, they would just drop us off as soon as it get hot. As soon as we start smoking, they like, nope, pull a plug on them. Knowledge Born, I know you went through it a few times. As soon as as soon as you start getting warm, they unplugging you. Boop. And I remember something Dick Gregory said before, and it made me think about my pages and our pages. I've never been banned on social media, and that's funny. But Dick Gregory said he know his phone's been tapped because he ain't paid in years, and they still ain't cut it off. Because they control the communications. They want to monitor us. They know who's who. They know what's going on. They just don't want us to spread the word to other people. They don't want the masses to understand that everybody's under hypnosis and they don't realize it. And we don't know what's in these jabs. We keep hearing all types of things, but we know people in the medical field are adamant against it. And we see what the insurance companies are now saying. Yo, something happened to you. These are the facts. But people don't want to deal with facts anymore. People want to deal with their emotions and how they feel. But feelings are like the weather. They fleeting. Sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not. So we got to really start getting rooted into intelligence and critical thinking. And Malcolm X said it best, and I'm going to leave with this. He said, when it's in self-defense, I don't even call it violence. I call it intelligence. And that's what we have to be, intelligent. We're not advocating violence. We're advocating self-defense. And you have to learn to defend yourself because they're showing you every day. As Brother Knowledge Born just said, it's not just a physical, it's a psycho-spiritual attack on us. Because we don't know nothing anymore. I knew the world done lost it when I saw our Muslim brothers and sisters celebrating Christmas and all that stuff. I said, all right, it's over. When I saw the God bodies become Christian, still saying peace, God, I said, all right, it's a wrap. So we finished. It's over. And then they sold little boys to be girls and little girls to be boys, and the world applauded. Children being sexually exploited, and they applauded. Ghislaine Maxwell just got hit with 20 years. R. Kelly got hit with 30. Yet Ghislaine Maxwell don't have to tell who's on the list, who was going to the island, who was having sex with these children. Powerful people. Very powerful people. Just like the people that was in Hillary Clinton's email.
She comes from a media family, so you already know. As far as what you said about the censorship, you already know that was coming down the pipe because she knows too much.
Yeah.
She knows too much. And that's the sad part about it. All of these women who are rah-rah about Roe v. Wade, why y'all ain't rah-rah for these young girls who was getting raped courtesy of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? Y'all ain't in no uproar about that one, huh? So you
Because
don't
their
care about little
programs is
girls, huh? They don't care
they're
about little
told what to
girls.
be mad about. They are told what to be mad about.
Exactly.
People don't get it.
Exactly.
Everybody waving that Ukraine flag don't even know that Ukrainians hate black folks. You saw the video of them beating up black women with children, kicking them off the trains like, no, y'all stay here and die. We out of here.
We had the video, when was it? A couple of months ago? We
Yes.
played the video where the head of the military said our concern is white people.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Their concern was white people. Remember, even the U.S. government made a statement and said they know Ukrainians don't like black people because everybody saw the racism. But folks wait to be told how to feel, who's our enemies and who's our friend. And if you know anything about the Ukraine is the place where all the Nazis ran for their safe haven. When Germany got, say it again. Yeah, when Germany was getting raided and they was bum rushing them and they had the fleet, a lot of them was running to the Ukraine. That's where they were hiding. So you think they love us? But I see black folks running around with that flag. Yeah, our folks killed them.
Hey, let me let y'all know something. I don't know if y'all know this. There was a lot of Ukrainian Nazis at the January 6th thing 2 years ago.
I could believe it.
Yeah, no, it's a fact. That is a fact. Like you said, you vet these people. These people now, these people ain't coming from, cross country or something. They coming from on planes, and some of them trying to come through the Mexican border. Maybe some of them come through the Canadian border, or whatever, fake documents or whatever. But there was a lot of them there. They had a contingency. When I say Nazis, I'm not, using a loose term. I'm saying the ones now fighting against the Russians over there now. And there's I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a contingent of white people from here going over there, helping them fight the Russians over there.
Right.
So there's a connection, regardless of how you look at that dynamic.
Yeah. And for all of the idiots who went running over there to go fight, with Ukraine against Russia, now that China is getting a bigger stronghold in its position to support Russia, they even got Japan scared right now. Japan's like, we don't know what the hell we gonna do. You getting on with your ally. That's what's about to happen. So and also last week, Ashe gave the family homework assignment to check out The Future of on Netflix. As Brother Tad mentioned, as far as them controlling the narrative of speech, of information, it's going to go 10 times even worse coming in the future. So again, Brother Ashe recommended that you all watch The Future of on Netflix. It's a series. It's a document series about different things that they are planning for the future. And I don't even know what to say. Let me just put it that way. I don't even know what to say. When it stumps me, it's bad. If it stumps me, it's bad. But again, family, whatever it is that you do, please be careful. Shout out to everybody who went to the International African Arts Festival this past weekend. Seen a lot of people. I went on a day where there was the least amount of people, because I'm telling you, especially because I had my grandson with me. And if something pop off, I'm out. I got to run. I got to get moving. So I took him on the Friday before. I saw your pops, Brother Tad. I'm going to tell you that.
Okay.
I saw him. Actually, I tried to speak to him, but he was on the other side of the fence, and I was in conversation with Sister Tara.
Okay. Yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to Sister Tara and Brother Vern.
Yes.
Shout out to my pops.
Pops was getting down to the club music, boy. They was getting down. But yeah, so it was a great weekend. A lot of people came out. A lot of people went. to converse, meet with real ones, people from the continent, the Caribbean, all over, So if you've never attended the International African Arts Festival in Brooklyn every 4th of July weekend, you should, make it a trip and come on down and come through. So we had a great time. Did you got a chance to go, Tad, or no?
Nope. You know what I did,
Okay.
Sister Keisha? I
Uh-huh.
relaxed at home. But
I know
on
that's
3
right.
days, oh man, you want to talk about relax? I relaxed.
Uh-huh.
I worked on better days ahead, because I'm gearing up to relaunch, and I got so much stuff accomplished. I got to pat myself on the back. I felt so good, just trying to stay focused, productive, and preparing for the future, because we know the finances is only a tool, the mind is the powerful weapon. But it's funny. My son Khalid was out there, and he had my grandson out there, and I see my grandson walking. They sent me pictures, so I was loving it. Like, oh man, I should have ran out there real quick, just to throw my grandson in the air a few times and show him off. But yeah, I mean, we there every year, and salute to everybody, shout out to everybody that was there. I love it because it's the only time the family, not the only time, but it's one of the few times where the family really get together. We all get to see one another. We get to see the teachers. We get to see the scholars, the activists. People get to see you, Sister Keisha.
As a matter of fact, when I came in, right?
Yeah.
Because now they don't let you, they didn't let you enter this year through the Flushing Avenue side, right? You had to walk down Navy Street. So I didn't feel like walking down there. So I ain't walking down there. It was like the hottest day of the year so far on Friday. But I went through and I came, to the side, and the security guy said, "Oh, you got to go in through there." And he said, "Yeah, because you pay that way." I said, "I ain't paying for nothing." That's number one. And number two, I'm not walking down there. So a guy who was one of the organizers said, "Hey, ain't you Sister Keisha?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh man, I've been wanting to meet you. Come on in here. Come on in here."
That's right. VIP.
So I can't walk. I ain't walking all the way down there.
Yes, I go.
So but anyway, it was great, as you said. Got to see, some of the recently released political prisoners. Yeah, Brother Sundiata and all of them out there. And my grandson got turned on to Child Core Quest.
All right.
Can I kick it? Yes, I can, for like a week. So, it was a great time. So again, family, if you can make it next year, then come out and check it out and see, what it's all about. The concerts were pretty cool. I know Brother Ashe was out there. But definitely, I'm glad you were resting, because
well rested.
Brought up Better Days Ahead Fitness, because in September we will be doing the Black Women Bike and Hike again. And what better way to network?
That's right.
Days. See how I do things? Oh, I'm slick with it. Hey, I'm slick with it. What? Y'all better leave me alone. So we'll talk about some things behind the scenes, Brother Tad. And
yes,
because actually a friend of Sister Tara, shout out to Sister Tara and Brother Vern, African Village, but a friend of hers was actually excited to see me, and we can't wait to do it again. So we didn't do it because of the pandemic lockdowns and all of that,
right.
But Black Women Bike and Hike is coming back in full effect in September. So ladies, get in gear, get ready. Let me see what you made of. Bring them bikes. If you can't bike, then you can hike. I had a cousin who was out there. She don't bike, but she was walking in her walker, hiking. So again, you ain't gonna want to miss this. And of course, it's a great way for Black women to network. You would be surprised of who is in your midst and who can help you progress to the next level. And this time, yeah, I got some things for you and Brother Ashe. So we gonna work that out. We gonna work that out for real. Make it all happen. So the family wins together. You understand what I'm saying? So, Brother Knowledge, speaking of that, you have some things in the community you're working on right now. Tell us what it is and how the people can be down.
Okay, I got the 3K for 3K campaign. It basically equates to $1 per episode. We're approaching vastly 3,000 episodes, 7 years long and strong. We never turned our back on African people. You understand? All the suckers that then came through and used black power to build space shuttles and space stations and schools we never seen and daycares we never seen and all that other stuff that's been out here. So indiscriminate in that 7-year time span, we've been out in the community. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all know, some of the things we've been doing, and some of y'all really know the other things we've been doing in regards to, recovering lost and found. I could go that far. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So with this, push, this campaign, this 3K for 3K, $1 per episode. So $3,000 we're looking to raise to upscale our program. Been invited to some places. We want to be able to take Do the Knowledge Radio global. There's some places we want to go on the continent and curate the stories. There's some places we want to go, within the continent, United States and the Caribbean, but we didn't have the proper equipment. It's all good when you're just sitting in front of people like this in this fashion, but when you go, you got to have, the proper equipment to be able to do some of the things that you need to do. So, that's one aspect. And the other aspect is we've been working in the community outreach, feeding these youth between 50 and 150 youth 5 days a week since the beginning of the pandemic. So we've been working with them. We've been working with the less fortunate, quote unquote, the homeless people in the community, working with the hotels and the motels to, have some kind of temporary housing situation with them in the midst of a lot of the crisis due to the extreme temperatures, and also with sisters in the community dealing with domestic violence situations in shelters with their children. So we really got our arms around a subsection of the community, and we've been doing that, for a couple of years. So we want to be able to, deal with all of the issues that we have in a more of a long-term contingency situation. So with the 3K for 3K, we're going to put some things in place that'll be able to help us to where it's not a financial burden, any longer. And for the youth, we work with at-risk youth from the ages of 7 to 18. And then for the folks in the wonder years from 19 to 35, we want to be able to offer them services to help direct their steps towards better days ahead, like Brother Tad was saying, in a fashion that don't cost them no money. We want to do it free of charge. Right now, it take a little money because we don't have these other things in place like we need to be able to do it. So we can upscale this total thing that we're doing where it doesn't cost, anybody any financial hardship, because the ship is hard enough. You understand out here, and we want to navigate against recidivism. We know poverty is $1 trillion business, despite our efforts to be thinking poverty don't cost no money. No, it's $1 trillion money maker. You see what I'm saying? So again, looking at that and putting those things together, making a conscious decision to be able to be a part of the option towards autonomy. I don't give solutions out. They'll be trying to sue you for a solution. So yeah, it's 3K for 3K, and they could. I don't even want to use the word donate because donate has been so destroyed by a bunch of these cats that's out here. But they can help support our efforts via Cash App or the GoFundMe. If y'all let me share the screen, I could actually show. We have the GoFundMe up here because people think you're scamming and shit. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Gotta be on point with it. You see
Nah, we don't bring no scammers on over here.
Nah.
We don't do that. We don't do that, family.
We're gonna start putting hands on these scammers, robbing the community, and they do make it bad for those of us who are sincere with our efforts. And that's one thing that I can say. Sister Keisha and myself and Brother Ashe, Sister Tim, and all of us have done in terms of organizing for young people, because a lot of what we've done have always been for young people, you know. And then not only have it been for young people, but shit, we got videos, pictures. We prove what we talking about. And then we like to keep the network small and deal with the real solid people. So shout out to the African Village, you know, Minister Vern and Sister Tara, who always support our effort, them and 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. So we already go to organizations that are organized, that know us personally, before we even reach out to the people. But trust and believe, we about to start coming back to the people, and we're going to say, donate, contribute, run them pockets. We using everything they understand, because it's imperative. We back outside now. And our fight is to free the mind of our folks, because our folks are being miseducated and misinformed. So what we did was take our folks there. We took them to the museums. Though we got a lot of knowledge and information ourselves, we take them to the master teachers, people who could really back it up and travel to these places, travel to the motherland, back and forth, travel the globe. You know, one of the shows we did with Renoko Rashidi and Sister Keisha, peace be upon them, and Sister Keisha and myself, you know, we hosted them on our platform and then went out to support them as well. You know, we got his picture up there. You know, we bring the people who this is their life's work. What we're doing is our life's work, but we stand on their shoulders. So we're not even going to act like we're the ones. You know, I'm not going to act like we're the most requested people here on YouTube or whatever. I'm not going to act like I'm the king of social media or none of that.
You're not the King Kong? You're not the King Kong, Brother Tad?
No, I'm not the King Kong of this.
He sure is.
Brother Tad. I'm not gonna act like I speak like 13 different languages and 10 of them is Pig Latin. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just to get the money and run off to Hollywood. I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. And the sad part is that, and this is for the audience now, we need to start checking those people in our communities that's supporting these charlatans that are robbing the community. We need to start really G-checking them. Because, see, they only get as far as the supporters carry them. If we stop donating to their foolishness, then they wouldn't be robbing us no more. But like P.T. Barnum said, it's a sucker born every minute. And we got to stop being suckers just because people talk a good one. I don't see no results from none of these people. Dudes is acting like they help so many children, but you don't see nothing but photo ops. All I see is them at an event. They're not organizing children and then taking them somewhere, loading them on a bus, taking them out of state, changing their way of thinking. Right. They're not doing that. And that go for Dr. Whoever. Because I tell people in a minute, I'll put my resume against a lot of these dudes. The ones I do really respect are Brother Q Butter, Marcus Klein, Baba Baruti, people who got tangible results, who are not just talking it, but living it. People know I've done my part with the young people. That's with Sister Keisha by my side, Sister Tam by my side, African Village having my back. We not even gonna act like Brother Tad ain't been on that type of time.
Yeah, and don't forget the BK William History Club, Brother Ray.
That's right, Brother
everywhere.
Ray, Brother Mike, and every Wednesday. That's right. In the heart of Bed-Stuy, there's people out here really, really doing the work. But everybody's trying to sell social media popularity as really doing the work. Because if these people say, well, I ain't never heard that till I saw such and such say it on YouTube, then you dumb. Because that shows you ain't been doing no due diligence. You ain't been doing no research. Because if you take anybody's mouth as gospel, then you a lazy scholar and you ain't got no right to speak. You lazy. Well, Sister Keisha said, Brother Taz said, no, this ain't what I said. This is what Dr. Clark said. That's why I point people to the books. Sister Keisha come with the receipts every time we load up. She ain't saying that the lady got a warrant for her arrest for the murder of Emmett Till. She just showed you. Don't say we sit here and make up stuff. But y'all want to listen to these charlatans out here still molesting children. You know what I'm saying?
And who is the crew? Who is the crew that pulled up on child molesters for real? Mm-hmm. We did.
Not only do we pull up on child molesters, we be putting hands on folks. But we not gonna put that on social media. We gonna do what's necessary. And that's why ain't nobody playing with us. They can play with all them other dudes, but they ain't gonna play with us over here because they know better. But the sad part is we trying to get the community to know better. Don't fall in love with these people words. Look at their actions. What's their resume? What is their reputation? What are they known for? A bunch of YouTube videos? Because they got 500,000 likes. You think that is work? Some of them likes be the enemy. They like that giving up information in their position. This is war. Why are you giving them your position? Dudes running around with bandos, throwing block parties, and I'm just, I ain't trying to kick dirt on nobody, but we got to call it for what it is, man. Like Sister Keisha said, political prisoners are home. Dudes who did more jail time than many of us been alive. Salute that. Support that.
And some of them are not, and some of them are not no longer coming home.
Exactly.
They just passed that law. You see what I'm saying? They just passed that law in regards to that. So while we was looking at all of this other stuff, this happened in the same week and ain't nobody talking about it. So there's an instance where Mumia may not come home because they passed the law for him not to be able to come home. So now what's the other contingency?
I got you. Right and exact, Brother Ted is right. We don't play. We are real ones for real. This ain't no game over here. We do this for real. This is not a game. But I see we got our other guest in queue. Brother Knowledge Born. Y'all see the GoFundMe up on the screen. You can get it. I will post it on our Thorough Black Talk Radio Facebook page where you guys could get it and donate to what Brother Knowledge Born is doing. He is a giant in Black media. Taught us the game.
About to say, pioneering this.
Yes.
He's
taught us the
pioneering
game.
this.
Facts. So, and he's a real one. And I would encourage all of you to, if you can, everybody could donate $1. $1 is, you got 10,000 people, $1 is $10,000. Easy. This is not a big feat. So again, family, we appreciate you listening to our brother Knowledge Born. Brother, always a pleasure to have you with us. Anything you need, we got your back 100%. As long as you don't come with that Bronx stuff, we good.
I'm a Jersey dude. You understand? I'm coming with some Jersey stuff.
We're going to let that slide.
Hey, Allah, since you outnumbered on this one, then we going to call it the 6th borough.
Here he go. You see? Black was behaving all night.
I'm from the first borough that had hip-hop.
I was about to give you the special star for the night, but you done ruined it. I thought it was going to be easy because the young lion is off tonight.
Wow.
But no, here come Black. He got to start. So again, brother, we appreciate you always. Again, I'm going to post this GoFundMe on our pages, and we got you always.
Hey, Keisha, before he goes, you want to give out your information, how people can get in touch with you personally? Your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever.
There we go, right?
Y'all can hit me on
Knowledge Radio, YouTube, right there.
Got it. Okay. Peace, brother.
All right, peace and Black Power.
Salute, family.
Peace.
So we got our other guests with us tonight, family. I told you, it's about the family. It's about the people. So, brother Akil Parker, welcome to Thorough Black Talk Worldview. We appreciate you being on the platform with us tonight. Brother Akil Parker is a math professor, Morgan State and Morehouse man. Wait, hold on, let me get this right. Because I don't want Black to get a big head. He was born in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Shoot. That took a lot for me to say, man. Now just
a mess, brother Akil. Peace.
Peace.
Brother Akil.
Peace.
Tell us people who you are.
Who am I? I'm just a black man, just trying to teach math to the Black and Pan-African community. Fundamentally, I'm a father of 3, and a lot of the things that I do and I'm trying to do in the community and been doing in the community are just an outgrowth of what I do with my own biological children. Got 3 children. Nasim is almost 17, Asada is 10, and Kwame is 3. So I'm just out here just trying to teach math and build a YouTube channel, building up my online presence, so we don't have to rely on the public schools, and we don't have to rely on the charter schools to try to, do something for our children that really ill-equipped to do, and not only ill-equipped but have no real desire to do. I always think about what the late Dr. John Clark said: is the purpose of education is to train our children to be responsible handlers of power. And you're not going to get that in these neo-colonial Eurocentric schools. And I know that firsthand from being a student coming up in Baltimore, in the Baltimore City public school system, and also being a teacher in the Philadelphia public school system for around 16 years. And now I'm teaching on the college level at Cheyney University, and I'm still trying to work against what's been going on for and what our people have been experiencing for such a long time. So I'm just trying to teach our people math, because I believe math is a tool of liberation, and not just a hoop to jump through so that you can get a job working for white people, but definitely a way to train our minds to think mathematically, and in turn we'll be able to think critically, and also be able to do some problem solving and some consequential thinking and some hypothetical thinking and some serious reading. So that way we'll understand the problems. Because I think I was listening to the earlier part of the program, and I was watching last week's program, some of it, and one of the things I kept speaking on was the fact that you've been telling people what was going to happen. You've been telling people what was going on. You've been telling people for years, and I think that a lot of the reason that people don't listen is because they don't understand. They're not able to recognize problems. They're not able to do the proper analysis to see that something that is a problem is in fact a problem. They just think it's not no big deal. So I'm taking the lane of trying to use mathematics in order to, teach more of our young people math, so that they can then, be trained to think mathematically, and in turn be able to think critically. So they'll first understand that we have problems, and then not that, but they'll also, understand how to, develop some solutions to the problem.
Right.
Now, brother Akil, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things I hold close to me is the fact that a lot of things that we see are like algebraic expressions.
Mm-hmm.
I think algebra, if we get familiar with algebra again, because I used to suck at math and I hated algebra. I'm like, how this gonna help me? But as I got older, I started realizing it's all about problem solving. Mm-hmm. It's finding the value in particular situations. Find the value of X, find the value of Y. And a lot of times our folks don't see the value unless somebody tell them it's valuable.
Right.
So here we are. We disrespect each other. We degrade each other because we hold material things as valuable, and integrity and decency we no longer see as value. But we don't see the implications of what having good character can do for you, the kind of doors it can open for you, as opposed to just looking like you have something of value. Because we know material is not value because it can all be replaced. However, our spirits of who we are, taken on a different level, because the fly part about algebra is you find the value in the unseen.
Right.
Could you speak to that in terms of our problems in algebra or other math equations you might see that may help our folks move past this ignorance that we just sitting in right now?
Well, I think one of the things is that people have to understand that, like, it's nothing. It's like, what AZ said, to Nas back on Illmatic, it's nothing's coincidental or accidental,
Right.
Definitely politically motivated. That's something that Amos Wilson talked about years ago, that, there's a political necessity for Black children to do poorly in mathematics. So we as a lot more people in the community have to first understand that, so we'll really know what we're up against, number one. But also, like, when you were talking, you made me think about, conceptually, like how I look at mathematics. I try to use mathematics in my tutoring sessions and my sessions. I go off on my tangents sometimes and, have these ad libs. I think about, like, teaching character, using mathematics. So I take examples like adding and subtracting negative numbers, right? So it's like if you're trying to add negative 5, like negative 13 plus 8, right? Negative 13, I told a young person like negative 13, owe somebody $13. And then the plus 8 part means you just got $8 from someone found it on the street, or maybe, one of your parents gave it to you. A lot of people think that when you owe somebody $13 and then you get $8, that you really have $8, but you don't really got $8. The right thing to do is go to that person you owe $13 to and say, listen, bro, says, let me give you this $8, or let me at least pay for my debt, pay my debt down. And then it's like, okay, even if I give you the whole $8, now I only owe you $5, right? So you don't really have $8. That $8 belongs to that person that you owe to settle that debt. So these are mathematical principles and mathematical concepts that I think can lead to, that type of character development, if it's explained that way. Because a lot of times, it's not explained. It's seen as like very abstract, just numbers, plus signs, minus signs, negative signs, and what have you. But that's really a teachable moment. And to reinforce those types of things, to kind of let people know, like, this is what's really going on. Because a lot of people, speaking in terms of like negative numbers and whatnot, if they don't really understand the concept of negative number and what the other side of the number line means, they'll think that having zero having nothing is the same thing as owing somebody something. Like, right. It maybe subjectively speaking, if I don't got no money in the bank, I don't got no money in the bank. But if my balance is zero versus balance being negative 300, those are two very different things. It might feel the same because you feel like, well, either way, I can't go to the ATM machine and take nothing out. But, when let's say, your paycheck comes in, and what if your paycheck was $200? Or maybe, I hope your paycheck ain't $200, but, $200 comes in there, you're gonna expect to get $200, but you're not getting $200. That's just gonna pay the debt that you already have. You in the hole, you in the red and whatnot. So these types of like we can look at like algebra, like very really conceptually, and think about things like that. And also even with solving equations, one of the things I always reinforce is this idea that when we're solving equations, whatever we do on the left side, we also got to do on the right side, and that maintains balance. And I always think about ancient Kemet, Mayat, those 7 principles: truth, justice, harmony, balance, order, reciprocity, and righteousness. And we can like really go to those 7 principles just while we're doing any mathematical equation and dealing with reciprocity. We deal with reciprocals, right? We deal with, okay, if we got a coefficient that's a fraction, we got it, or with dividing fractions, we got to take the reciprocal of the second fraction, so we can like, because the product is always going to be 1. So we come together when there's reciprocity, two people in their personal interactions and personal relationships, they create a greater whole. Those two people, and we could talk about these things. A lot of people talk about these things, and that's cool. But what I'm trying to do is bridge that gap and show people how like these ideas that people will say, and whether they might be a motivational speaker or just a solid old head that has wisdom, and you listen to them when they talk. It's like I can show you like how in a math class this is demonstrated through numbers. Like the numbers tell this story at the same time. So these are just some of the things that I'm trying to do with all this math. And kind of really, trying to change the branding of mathematics and change our relationship with mathematics as a community as just something that either like we're fearful of, we're uncomfortable with, or it's seen as like a necessary evil, like a class I got to go to. I got to take this class, or like even if I'm an adult learner and I go back to school, I got to take this statistics class. I had to take this college algebra class just so I can get through it, just so I can get this degree, get the job. Hopefully I can make more money to provide for my family. But I want us to really start to embrace the math, because the people that control the world and are making the decisions, like they have those think tanks and they have those mathematicians that are working for them, like creating formulas and forecasting the future, and really playing games and doing a lot of social engineering, using formulas and creating formulas and whatnot. And I want us to be able to use mathematics to be able to understand what they're doing before it even happens, so that we're not always playing catch up and being reactionary and kind of like running around like chickens with their heads cut off after they. And we could have been like kind of doing the mathematics and doing the calculations and doing the analysis way ahead at the same time they were doing it, so we would already know what was going on, or at least more of us will know what's about to happen.
Brother Akil, let me ask you, with your young people, do any of them give you resistance and then somehow end up liking math?
So I would say like with the tutoring, with the students that I tutor, a lot of them they're already bought in and locked in, just because how they've been raised already. In the past, most of them that come in, since I've taught high school, a lot of them that I meet and then interact with, by the time they get to me, they already have this kind of like deep-seated resentment and like hatred for mathematics. So a lot of times I can't really change. I haven't been able to really change that, but they may gain a little bit more comfort with it, So sometimes, but I haven't been as effective as I would like to have been. But I also understand what I'm up against, though.
Right.
Facts. Let me just for the family that's watching, we're gonna go to your YouTube page real quick and just show a little clip of one of your tutorials that you have here. And then we'll come back and we'll discuss it. And Sister Marie, shout out to you. This your fellow B-Moy brother right here. Stop playing. And Sister Marie Raymond is an educator.
Okay.
So, and she teaches young children.
Okay.
I think is it pre-K or kindergarten, sis? I can't remember. But anyway, we're gonna play this video real quick, family, and then we'll come right back. Hold on.
This was some SAT
prep. It says that if x is greater than 3, then we have this complex fraction, a complex fraction that has other fractions inside of one big fraction. So 1 is your numerator, but then two other fractions in the denominator. Now, the benefit of doing this problem is that this is a multiple choice question. So it's saying if x is greater than 3, that means that you get to decide what value of x you want to use. You can pick any number that's greater than 3. You can pick 4, you can pick 5, you can pick 2.8, you could pick, anything. But I would just pick 4 because that's closest to 3, and that's the smallest whole number that I could use. So let's say try 4. So that means that I'm going to plug 4 in wherever I see an x at. Wherever I see an x at, I'm going to plug a 4 in right here. I'm going to plug a 4 in right here. And I'm going to figure out what that gets me. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my multiple choices, and I'm going to plug 4s in where the x's are in there. And then I'm going to figure out, like, is that number that I get equal to the number I got when I plugged 4 in the original complex fraction? That's how I tell what the answer is. So I can do 1 over 4 plus 2 plus 1 over 4 plus 3, which is equal to 1 over 1/6 plus 1/7. And then these two fractions have a different denominator, so we need a least common denominator, or a LCD. The LCD of 6 and 7 is 42. So we got 1 over, I'm going to just bring it over here, and then my LCD is 42. 42 divided by 6 is 7. 7 times 1 is 7. So I got 7 for my numerator right there for that part. And then 42 divided by 7 is 6. And then 6 times 1 is 6. So that gives me 7 plus 6 for my numerator. So then I got 1 in my big numerator. And then I got 13 over 42 for my big denominator. So that really means 1 divided by 13 42nds. Now, when we divide, we do keep, change, flip. So we keep the first fraction, or the first number, which is 1. We change division into multiplication, and we flip the second fraction, which is 42 over 13. After we flip it, it was 13 over 42. Now it's 42 over 13. It was 13 over 42. Now it's 42 over 13. So now we got 42 over 13. So when I use 4, this original complex fraction is equivalent to 42 over 13. Now what I want to do is I want to go to the multiple choice answers and find which one of these will also give me 42 over 13 when I plug in 4, right? Because that's the answer that I'm looking for. So I try A, right? I plug in 4s. I do 2 times 4 plus 5. Wherever I see an X, I just look for X's, right? I got an X here and an X here, and an X was right here. I plug in 4s. And I do 4 squared plus 5 times 4 plus 6. So then I got 8 plus 5, which is 13. 4 times 4. 4 squared is 16, not 8. 16, not 8. So I got 16 plus 20. 5 times 4 is 20. 16 plus 20 is 36. 36 plus 6 is 42. So this is 13 over 42, not 42 over 13. But if you notice, this is just the reciprocal of the fraction I'm actually looking for. So then I come down here.
So again, family, he has a YouTube page. I know that, school is out, or believe so. It should be, unless you're in summer school. And here, you might need it. So you can check out the videos there. And he also tutors as well.
Right.
Brother Akil, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I wanted to say, like, so that video right there, so those most recent videos were some of like my more like boring videos. I'm gonna just keep it real. I was doing some SAT prep for somebody, and actually I wasn't gonna put those up there because what I like to do most of the videos is like also provide like cultural relevancy. So you see me up at a board. I'm in my office on Cheyney campus, or I'm in my house. I got a dry erase board in my house, and I'm doing problems right on the board, almost like a classroom setup. And I might have like a solid t-shirt on, or like Huey P. Newton hoodie on, or something like that. So what I'm really trying to do is I'm gonna give you the math, but I'm also gonna give you those exemplars. And a lot of the people that again, the public school or the charter schools are not gonna, like, most of the time are not gonna give you those figures, or at least if they do give them to you, they're not gonna talk to you about them in a way that's gonna be empowering and liberating. Like, you'll get King, but you'll get King in 63, the I Have a Dream speech. Not gonna get King in 67 on talking about coming at the whole United States government about their participation in the Vietnam War. So you might see me in one of my videos with my a Dr. King t-shirt on, and I might take the first 30 seconds of the video and talk about the recommend to anybody watching, like, go on YouTube, pull up his his Vietnam War speech, or go on YouTube and listen to somebody reading the letter from a Birmingham jail that he wrote when he was in jail, basically like clandestine type time, because they ain't want him writing. So he was taking newspapers and he wrote that speech like in the margins of the newspaper, what I'm saying, and kept all the newspapers and then published it when he got out, right? So so it's like you're gonna get the math, then you're gonna get the cultural awareness and the history at the same time, because that was one of the things that like my students would always say, and I would take it as a compliment, because we just be in class and they be doing their independent assignments, and I would just talking about random things in African history or African American history. They'd be like, "Oh, Mr. Park, you should be an African American history teacher." And I would say, well, I'm trying to give you both, because a lot of times I know that in your African American history class that you're taking, you're not going to get this, because that's a watered down class. Like, that class is not serious. That class is not meant to help you to become a responsible handler of power. That class was really that class. The only reason you have it on your roster is because it's a concession, and also what you're being taught in there is basically you're being told how all these like firsts, and like the first black person to do something in a white controlled space, or the first black person to do this, first black person to do that, with no real context. Or you might memorize some dates, or when this school was founded, or whatever. Cool, but you're not gonna be told like how that experience of those people in the past is gonna help you to like realize your full humanity and take control of your community and build up your community. So, but that video was cool because that was SAT prep. And what I want people to understand about SAT prep is that SAT prep isn't really usually about learning the actual fundamentals of math. It's really about the tricks, because that test itself is a tool of exclusion. It's just a formalized way to deny people either access to college or access to scholarship money for college. Make people have to take out loans and come out of pocket. But if you can learn those skills and then learn the game and the different tricks, because what I was doing, that's a method called plugging in numbers. A lot of people see a problem like that and be like, oh, this is, what does that mean? Like if X is greater than 3. So basically in a problem like that, what that's telling you is you pick your own number. So in that type of problem, you have power. You pick any number you want, plug it in the original problem, simplify it. And then what you're trying to do is you want to match up. So then you go to the multiple choice questions, plug that same number in. And whichever one of those multiple choice questions gives you the same result, that's your answer. So that's the plugging in numbers method. So you gotta know to recognize that when you're going through the SAT prep type problems. And that's something that our students, like, we just don't have the preparation. Like, because if you never took SAT prep, you wouldn't know that. And then a lot of times you see people with these high SAT scores, and sometimes we conflate preparation with raw intelligence. So some of our children will feel like, damn, we're not as smart as these other people. No, it's not that you're not as smart. They did SAT prep. They got SAT prep early, or they got, they had a tutor or something. So, and that's another reason a lot of people get discouraged with mathematics, because, we compare ourselves to people that just have more preparation. So I want our people to have the preparation. There are a lot of people that I tutor. We got tutoring sessions, and we have individual private tutoring sessions, but it's only 24 hours in a day, and I can't tutor everybody. So that's why YouTube channel is really for everybody. YouTube channel is really for the streets. That's for the people. And where you could just, I want it to become a household name. I want everybody to be able to go to it. Kind of like how in education circles right now, Khan Academy is the standard, but Khan Academy is not as personable. And you go on Khan Academy, you're not going to learn about Malcolm X on Khan Academy. You know, in a math lesson, in a math video. You know, you're not going to learn about Garvey. You know, and see like, you know, my 3-year-old son waving the African liberation flag. You know, in the beginning of a video about scientific notation, something like that. Like, you're not going to get that on Khan Academy, and that's what I'm bringing. You know, so you know, I'm really trying to build this so that this could be something that we can use, and then not only
I'm looking not to cut you off. I'm looking at this video right here, rounding and scientific notation.
Mm-hmm.
You have your board, your white board here, but above that you have Asada Shakur and you got Kwame Ture.
Right.
And you rocking a Pan-Africanism or Paris shirt.
Right.
So, like you said, it's all in the imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Not just teaching math, but also giving an image of who we are and what we are in an education of our people. I see you have Accra, you have Johannesburg, and what is that? Dar es Salaam?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, that's another thing too. Like, I think, you know, one thing that doesn't happen enough in mathematics circles or even in the sciences, when we create our own content, or well, first, we don't create enough of our own content, but when we do create our own content, we keep it kind of European. We just keep it Eurocentric. And what I know for a fact, because that's what I used to do early on in my career, because I didn't really realize that, like, you know, we can really create our own content and make it as culturally relevant as it needs to be. So we can be intentional about, you know, having problems where we talk about a cry, and like a young brother or sister may not even know what a cry is. But once you see this problem, now you're gonna know what a cry is and where it's at. Oh, it's in Ghana, it's in West Africa. And even if it's the first time you hearing of it, then maybe the next time you hear it, it's like, oh yeah, I remember I heard about that before. You never heard of Dar es Salaam, or you never heard of, you know, the other city, you know, that I mentioned. You know, so that's, you know, and that I call that money on the table, because it's a lot of opportunity, a lot of educational opportunities that we have where we end up just leaving. I know from firsthand experience, we end up leaving money on the table, where it's like, you know, it seemed like a small and insignificant thing. It's like we could have used that as a teachable moment and could have made a teachable moment out of that, and we didn't. So like, I could have did the same problem and just used cities like in the United States, typical, like, you know, New York, Baltimore, and DC. I'm like, nah, let's take it. Let's be Pan-African with it. Let's use some other cities that young people may not have heard of. And then while I'm talking about the problem, I'm talking about these cities and the nature of these cities and the character and the culture in some of these cities while we doing the problem. Because we got it when you're teaching math, you got to also have a story component to it also. It can't just be all like, you know, stiff and real overly objective. I mean, it is objective, but you know, every math problem is a story. And I think that's why a lot of people don't do well in math, because the story, they don't understand the story, and the story is not told very well. So the job of the teacher is to tell the story of the math problem. Like, what happened first, what happened second, what happened third. If it's a 10-step problem and you get caught up in step number 3, then the next steps 4 through 10 are not going to make any sense to you. Just like when you're watching a movie or whatever, like, you know, when, like, you know, the movie comes on, it's cool, you're watching it, but then, you know, you get 20 minutes in, it's weird happens, some character comes from out of nowhere that it has not properly introduced or nothing, and then you're like, well, you know, you start to be all confused and everything, then you can't really enjoy the rest of the movie, right? So a math problem is like that too. You got to really, as a teacher, I think you got to know how to explain the problem, you got to know how to break it down, you got to know how to tell the story to the student, and also allow them to incorporate themselves into the problem. So that's one of the things I also tell my students, like, you got to see yourself in the problem. So when you read it, especially with word problems, when you read it, think about it, concentrate on it, and try to incorporate yourself into it. You know, put your own self into it, your own friends, your own family. You know, put your hood into the problem. Think about your block. Think about your neighborhood in that math word problem, and then start breaking it down, and then figure out how to translate the information problem into an equation. And once you got an equation, you're good. Because a lot of students, it's really a lot of our young people, they don't really have as much of an issue with the math sometimes as they do with the reading comprehension and understanding the language of math. Because mathematics is definitely its own language, right? So, because I can give a lot of students like a straight equation, and they might be able to solve the equation and solve for X. But if I give them a word problem that would need to be translated into that same equation, they wouldn't know how to do the translation. They can't do the translation from the word problem in the English language to the mathematical equation. So that's really like, that's something that I'm going to be focusing a lot more on going forward, is these word problems. And they're like, it feels good to me to do that also, because I know as a youngin' coming up in school, for the vast majority of my experience, I always excelled at math, except for a couple of rough patches, a couple of years. But word problems were like the bane of my existence. I didn't like word problems. I didn't like them. I used to get intimidated. I didn't like to mess with the word problems. And even that affected me in my teaching career when I started teaching back in like 2005, because I wasn't good at it. And you know, then that I kind of transferred that onto my students by shying away from the word problems. Because the way the textbooks are set up, it's like you get all the technical examples in the beginning of the exercise set, right? The word problems come at the end. So it's like you end up spending so much time on just like x plus 5 equals 13 and how to solve the equations. Then the word problems at the end. So then you be like, all right, well, get to the word problems. We on to the next chapter, on to the next section. And that really does students a disservice. So, but you gotta yourself as the teacher really understand word problems and know how to break them down and have that confidence yourself so that you can then translate that onto the young people. But the thing about the word problems is like the way I read, like I might read a book by like Nkrumah, Neo-Colonialism, The Last Stage of Imperialism. The way I'm reading what Nkrumah is writing is the same way that I read word problems, because I'm trying to make sure everything's adding up. I'm trying to make sure, you know, all this stuff works. So like when you see like different types of propaganda and you know people lying, it's like, oh, wait, hold up. Like this ain't adding up. What's going on? What are y'all talking about? Or like, how do you say this? But then you just said that, you know, it's like Malcolm talked about in the Ballad of the Bullet. He talked about like how you a black person, you want to believe Lyndon B. Johnson and he's your guy. He likes you, but then he hanging out with Richard Russell, a well-known, well-documented segregationist and racist from the South. That's his man. That's his homeboy. That's his best friend. So how are you going to be his friend and your friend too? Like that's a mathematical equation that does not balance. The left side don't equal the right side. So and so to my earlier point, I'm trying to help our people understand math so we can start thinking that way. Because a lot of times we just get caught up in a lot of like foolishness and just silliness because people play with us. And they play with us because we don't know any better, because we're not trained to think in a certain way. So a lot of nonsense we just go for it and we just accept it, you know, because we don't know no better, you know.
It's funny you say that because when I was in high school, I don't know if my sister Carol was on the check-in, but in my sophomore year, excuse me, I had an issue with math. And to get out of that, I blackmailed the teacher.
Wow.
Worked in my favor. Sister Carol know what that was about. But now you don't have to, because you have so many avenues that can help you, and one of them being yours. But we rounding down, but give our people the insight on how they can reach you.
So you can reach me on Instagram at All This Math, Facebook at All This Math, and the YouTube channel. If you go into YouTube and just type in at All This Math, and you know you'll be able to see me on there. I have a lot of video content, and I'm adding content on a regular basis. And one thing I do want to emphasize is that this channel is definitely not just for the young people, because what I realize is that I want adults, in terms of us like empowering ourselves as a community and kind of taking some of the power back from the public schools and the charter schools. I want our adults and our parents to be able to help their children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, little cousins, younger siblings. I want them to be able to help with the homework, because that's one of the major complaints too, especially these days with like Common Core and different curricula and whatnot, is that, you know, this quote unquote new math, which is not really new math. It's actually beneficial because it gives different ways of understanding the math and working out problems. And it also is meant to create a more conceptual understanding, but it has to be explained to you. Like a lot of things, it's got to be explained to you. So this channel is really for the parents too, because I want parents to feel empowered. Because I don't like I take for granted, being a math teacher and a math professor, I take for granted that none of my children will ever be able to come home and like have an issue with math, and I really can't help them, right? So, but I know everybody's not in that position. So I speak from a space of privilege. But I want all of our people. I want Black people all across the country, all across the globe, to be able to experience that. So I'm not only trying to teach the young people, I'm trying to teach the adults. So you can get past the math that you never learned 20 or 30 years ago, or even math that you did learn it and you were proficient in it. But math is just like any other subject. If you don't use it, you lose it. Even me as a teacher, like if I haven't seen this particular trigonometry topic in like 5 years, I need to brush up myself. It's going to be a little easier for me to brush up because once upon a time I did know it, but I might have to really like hit my books or go into some other people's YouTube videos and be like, oh, how you do that again? I remember that. Oh yeah, that's the joint where you got to do this and then you got to okay, cool. So that's what the channel is really for. It's for the whole community and for all of our people, not just young people, because a lot of the content out there, you can tell it's aimed at the young people, so that they can just do their homework and get homework help. But I want and I see this as a way, as like a long-term strategy and solution to dealing with like gun violence and different type of ills in our community, because I want to like reinforce that family connection. Because for a lot of people, some people coming home, sitting home and doing homework at their dining room table was a bonding experience. But once your child gets to a certain age, you like, damn, I can't help you with your homework no more. So then that bonding experience goes away. So I want you to be able to like help your child. Your child's in 10th grade doing geometry. All right, cool. I want you to still be able to help your child with their homework, even if it's geometry and you're dealing with, transversals and alternate interior angles and geometric proofs and all that. So I want you to be able to go to the channel and check it out. So that way you can feel like, okay, well, I'm still my child's primary educator. And when you send them to school, if they go to a public school or a charter school, that teacher is there to supplement your plan and not vice versa. You know what I mean? Because, it's kind of like with sports. Like a lot of us, if we have children that play sports, like, the dads that go real hard, they be on the sidelines, like yelling at the coach, like what the hell are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I want us to be able to come at the teachers that way. I want you to be able to come to your child's math teacher that way, the same way, like with the same intensity, because you can. So like if you're a father, you know football, you play football, basketball, you play basketball, baseball, whatever. If you feel like the coach is doing something dumb or it's not being efficient or it's doing something inappropriate, you have the confidence to say something about it. I want us to be able to do the same thing with mathematics, and really, I hope that can eventually translate to all the subjects. Until we have until we create the vast network of independent African-centered schools, like you mentioned, like the brother like Q Butter, Marcus Klein, and other people like throughout the country that are doing their thing. Until we get to that point, in the meantime, I want us to be able to like really start to take more control of our children's education. And I'm hoping that the YouTube channel can be a viable tool for that.
Oh, trust me, brother, it will be. It will be, because I was looking like, oh man, I got to brush up on my math skills. You know what I'm saying? Almost had me ready to cut the camera off and cut class real quick. I said, hold on now, you speaking another language. But I really do like that you're making it for us adults as well. Because like I said, sometimes we really got to incorporate math into our critical thinking process to make it make sense to our people, because it is math. All of this is mathematic. I think our last guest, Brother Knowledge Born, was talking about everything we see is already repeated. So, from kindergarten, the first math problems you learn is patterns. Mm-hmm. You learn circle, square, triangle, circle, square, triangle, circle, blank, triangle. Now, what goes in the blank? The square, So you learn patterns, and our people ain't even master the basic kindergarten pattern math yet, So I'm glad that you brought this to us, the community, so that people like myself, Sister Keisha, Brother Blacksmith, our brother Ashay, so we can start really getting, it's another tool in the toolbox. You know what I mean?
And like you said,
we really got to make it make sense. Say it again, brother.
And like you said, with the patterns, once you know the patterns, that's when it gets beyond the math classroom, because then you're like, okay, well, we know what the government's about to do next because of the pattern. We know what the nation's about to do next because of the pattern. So, and that's like the explicit conversation we have with the young people too, when they be like, when am I ever going to use this stuff? And it's like, no, bro, like it's not about the actual equation. It's about understanding how to solve the equation and how to do the work. Because once you train your mind to think like that, then when you out here in the world as a grown man or, a grown woman, whatever, then you'll be able to see what's about to happen. and you'll be able to understand what's going on around. And you'll be able to protect yourself and your family from what's about to happen, because you're trained to think that way. But if you're not trained to think that way, you just out here all like everything hunky dory, and then boom, hit you with a new law or whatever, or this happens, or then you get then you end up getting evicted, from your spot, or something drastic or major happens to you. And it's like, well, we should have seen that coming 2 years ago, but we weren't trained to think that way. And again, it's not accidental. It's not coincidental or accidental, because zero-sum game. Because when, some people lose, whenever somebody's losing, some people are winning. Like somebody's always winning. And them people that play games with us, that try to act like they're on our side, and act like, oh, this is so harmful. Like, even like I mentioned gun violence earlier, it's like, I always think, matter of fact, it's Marcus Klein actually put me onto the concept of cui bono, that phrase in Latin, who benefits. So we always talk about, oh, this is bad, this is horrible. We got to start looking at who's benefiting from all these problems. Most of us never look at who's benefiting from the problems. And we start to look at who's benefiting from the problems, you'll realize, oh, well, why are these people, these government officials, these corporations, why are these people that have these nonprofits they set up or whatever, that are benefiting from the problem, why are they trying to act like they so concerned? Because they get money, they running up a bag from these problems. But we don't even think, but again, that's part of thinking mathematically, because that's like an equation. It's like, all right, you got losers. So we look at it like everybody's losing. It can't be everybody losing, because that's imbalanced. If you got losers, you can't be a loser without there being winners. You can't be a winner without there being losers, in most situations. You know what I'm saying? So
it's funny that you say that real quick. It's funny that you say that real quick, bro, because reading Robert Kiyosaki's book, Who Took My Money, the brother, the dude who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
He has a book also called Who Took My Money. He said nobody never loses money. It only transfers hands. So it's in line with what you're saying. For there to be a loser, it has to be a winner. So when somebody say, I lost $2,000 at the casino, no, you ain't lose $2,000. The casino just got your $2,000. You know where it's at. It ain't lost. But again, this westernized hemisphere, the way they program us to think, coupled with their language, it gives us a false reality of what's really happening to us. And once we become critical thinkers, we'll start to understand, to your point, who benefits. Because when we think we lost money, there's a beneficiary. Whether we dropped $20 on the ground or we blew it in the casino or the gambling spot, there's a beneficiary, so we never lose money. It just transfers. Right. And I guess that goes back to the reciprocals.
Yeah, like energy. Like energy is never destroyed. It just is transferred, from one person to another, or one area to another,
Inside of the equation.
Yep.
I want to say something real quick, y'all. And y'all, Brother Akil and Tad touched on it, didn't really get deep, but what I want to tell from what I got from this, I wrote some notes down, is that supreme mathematics translated to I would say Hebrew or probably Aramaic is ma'at. So basically a way to live based on mathematical or theoretical equations, if y'all will, which would to me equal quantum physics, you know what I'm saying, on a personal or interpersonal level. I would say to learn math on a non-quantifiable level, learn how to play the game of chess, because it is all equations, strategies, and 80 different ways to get beat or beat somebody inside of that. And to me, in that aspect, I would say that's a unified theory using theory of relativity. One person that we never concentrate on, I never hear his name mentioned too much anymore, but he was Bobby Hemmett's teacher, is C. Freeman L. And he was a mathematician. You know what I'm saying? He it's good if you know him. Same as Dr. Gabriel Oyibo, who was the one founder of the from Nigeria, who with the string theory. And before we go, Brother Akil, I want to ask you a question. Equate mathematics to CERN for us, please. And the opening of portals through quantum physics or whatever they're using.
Repeat that again. Equate mathematics to what?
To CERN. What's happening in Switzerland with the opening of the portals?
I can't speak intelligently on that. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
that's a
it's
Stargate.
engineers. But it's
They got
engineers who
Stargate,
made
like
these
from the movie.
hadron colliders, right?
Say it again.
Is it engineers who created these hadron colliders, that thing that's busting them atoms up at like hundreds of thousands of miles per second?
Yeah, again, I would need to research that myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's that Bronx stuff Blacksmith talking now. We got to get astrophysicists in here. The brother is a math teacher.
That's why he say nothing.
He's a math teacher.
I love digging
He's not
stuff
an
in his
astronaut.
hole.
I'm done, y'all.
these gateway portals from Stargate.
Come on, y'all hearing about this stuff. Y'all read the same stuff I read. Cut it out.
I know, that's why I'm teasing you, bro. That's why
I say here this week, so you got to clown me now, right?
But no, I mean, because sometimes me and Brother Blacksmith could get real scientific. Like we'll go to what people will call sci-fi. Me personally, I've learned a long time ago there's no such thing as sci-fi. If we could think of it, it exists. Whether it's in our mind or I mean, we know all invention starts here. All ideas start here before they manifest into the real world. So I never really say science fiction. They once thought the Frankenstein's monster was science fiction, but now we see they removing and adding body parts on people. They once said flying ships in the air would never happen. I think scientists were saying when Orville and Wilbur was trying to create the plan. Scientists were saying that you can't even get 300 pounds to stay up in the air for a certain amount of time, let alone, and now we fly back and forth like nothing. So if we can imagine it. But there's a machine called CERN that's supposed to be manipulating the molecules and atoms in the space, and they have time travel. And in fact, not to go too deep into it, because first time I got familiar with time travel, it was a black man who was demonstrating how time travel is possible. And this was years ago. He was using a meter and showing that the faster an object goes, the slower time is. So he put a clock, one clock standing still, another clock on a super fast machine or something, like an object, a shuttle or something, and it slowed down. The one that was moving fast slowed down, time slowed down, and he did some other experiments. So that's what Brother Blacksmith is talking about with CERN. Like we be on that tip, but that's deep because we dealing with a Pan-African right now. Like Dr. Khalid said, he don't care about no star. He said, "Why you looking for stars and Mars?" He said, "They putting you behind bars."
I'm looking for the pan-alien Africans.
You looking for pan-alien Africans?
Did you get
the whole universe, baby?
Did you get a chance to see the man who fell to earth like I asked?
Yes, I did, sis. I loved it. I watched that last week too when I was in the house. When I stayed home, I watched that, The Man Who Fell to Earth, and how our music was a key component to him getting back home. Oh man, that was dope. That was dope. If you ever get a chance to check it out, Brother Akil, it's a science fiction show on Showtime called The Man Who Fell to Earth.
The Man Who Fell to Earth. Y'all remember that movie from the 80s, Brother from Another Planet?
Yes, I did, when he had the 2 feet. What's that, bro? Because he ended up playing a lot of movies.
Joe Morton. His name is Joe Morton.
Yes, Joe Morton.
One of my favorite actors.
Yes, Joe Morton. That's where I first knew him from, the Brother from Another Planet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you know what's so dope about that? It sounds crazy that we're talking about it, but like we were saying earlier, how the Europeans control communications. And one thing we know they tried to do in previous generations is exclude us from the future. They tried to write us out of the future. Bad enough, they tried to distort the past. And remember, they told all the great scholars like Malcolm X and Dr. Clark, we don't have no history. So I love to see us in science fiction. I love to see us in videos that depict, or movies that depict the future, and we're at the helm. Because in fact, real quick, there's a clip where a guy said he was abducted, and he said, yo, the aliens are black people. He said the aliens are black people. I was like, that's
a fact. 98% of the alien, 98% of space, or whatever you want to call the outer world, is melanated.
Yes. In fact, I met a scientist at Fordham University one time, and we were talking, and he was talking about, so then this is something we got to watch our children about, this abductions and stuff, because he was talking about how they are harnessing melanin to coat the space shuttles for space travel.
Yes, sir.
And this is years ago, because when they was talking about Elon Musk and SpaceX, he was saying that they need melanin, because I thought it was funny that he asked me if I knew what melanin was. I was insulted, but 48 laws of power, play a sucker to catch a sucker. So I was like, yeah, I think I heard of that before. Ask a black man, have you ever heard of melanin? The arrogance of these
What's
people.
That's that coating on the milk that come out of cows, right?
Yeah, right. But again, we going into overtime, brother Akil. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you, what you're doing, because like Adam Clayton Powell said, cast your bucket, use what's in your hand, stand where you at, and you're doing that. You using what you have access to. You using your skill, the expertise to move our people forward, and I gotta salute you for that. And shout out to you, all our people for Baltimore. I'll be remiss if I don't shout out our brother Imhotep Fatu in the PLM, our brother Dr. Minister Asar Winkler, and brother Marcus Sankofa Nix at TCAT, TNAT, Temple of New African Thought. So shout out to my Baltimore family. I love those brothers out there. Say it again. That's right, Sister Marie.
Be more.
That's right, Sister Marie.
She was just in Jam Rock. How you like Jam Rock, sis?
She was in Jam Rock.
She was in Jam Rock. Now my best friend is there and my cousin is there.
Ganja and Oxtails. Ganja and Oxtails of the Little Red Nephew.
Wagwan.
That Wagwan.
Everything going still, boy.
Yeah, but shout out to B More. That's the kin to Brooklyn. We closer to B More than we are to the Bronx. So
and there you have it, family. Again, family, we appreciate y'all tuning in with us every week.
Woo.
Y'all pray for me. I got to deal with these black men that be driving me crazy. And they know I let them get away with it because I love them so much.
That's right.
Akil, we do truly appreciate you coming in and joining us this evening. We definitely got to have you back because there's a pad of questions I got to ask.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm down.
I like to get deep, but we were running out of time. We'll definitely have you back again. Family, follow him on YouTube. The link is in the chat. Grab it, subscribe, like the channel. We good. Same for here. Like, subscribe, and share. We definitely appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Stay strong. You know what, brother Tad? See, we keep it 100 over here. This is Brooklyn. You know what brother Akil said to me today?
What's that?
He has saw the flyer that for last week's show with Dr. Mwalimu Baruti and Mama Ya Baruti, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So he said, oh, they all right, because they rocking with them.
Yeah.
Telling him today, I said, we only move with real ones.
Yeah. No, that's family. That's family. See, some of these people have what can I say? Cordial relationships. That's our family.
Yeah.
PLM is our family. TNAT is our family. Those Baltimore folks. That's family right there. We done broke bread when they in Brooklyn. I got to pull up. When I go to B-More, I got to reach out to them. And that's what we need to do. Our own network. We trying to bring the Bronx in, but
See, if you was in your righteous bag, you would have called that city Tubman City. See, y'all violated right there.
Look, I'm from the streets,
all of y'all violation.
I'm 2 years deep into this conscious stuff. I'm still trying to figure out what Hotep means. Look, man, I just got me a bunch of YouTube followers, some Facebook likes, and I'm conscious. Let's be clear, all right? That's the only prerequisite.
Oh, God, here we go. Again, family, thank you for tuning in, joining us every week, doing it how we do it right here on the Brooklyn Bridge, baby, where it goes down. Tell somebody to tell somebody. Tune in every week, 8 to 10 p.m. every Thursday evening. Now, Brother Black.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all know what it is. Tad touched on it. I kept trying to ask questions.
I got to figure out how to send you that clip. I had downloaded, but for some reason, it won't allow me to send it to you.
Just send it to my Facebook inbox.
That's what I tried. Believe it or not.
Okay.
So what I'm
Okay.
gonna have to do is I'm gonna make it an MP4 and then I'll send it to you. It'll be able to go that way.
Yeah, they super on me.
When I say that, I know I'm going over Tad's head because
because I'm computer illiterate.
We're not gonna go too deep now.
No, don't go too deep.
I love y'all. Y'all stay strong and stay black at all costs. Good night, family. We out.
Peace.